I've looked up some of the things you're concerned about, and one of them is something I'm very concerned about too, which is Darwin and evolution. But why are you concerned about evolution?
Yes, well, what a person believes about how human beings were created shapes what they believe about human beings. That if we believe that human beings were created out of love, that is by a loving creator, and has given each one of us not only a material body but a spirit and a soul, we then are more likely to treat other people with respect and dignity.
Yes, but you have to contend with facts, don't you? And I mean, if evolution is a scientific fact, you might as well be concerned about gravity or the Milky Way, mightn't you?
Yes, but the scientists who question evolution are being censored out, are being blackballed out of the scientific community, and being told that the rest of the world cannot listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence is actually rather substantial. It's not just fossils, you know. I mean, it's DNA. Presumably, you're not concerned about DNA. You accept the existence of DNA. Do you?
I think DNA helps to prove that each person is an individual created as distinct from one another.
If you look at the DNA of all animals and all plants, what you find is a beautifully arranged hierarchy. You find that our DNA is close to chimpanzees, slightly more distant from monkeys, slightly more distant still from rats, slightly more distant still from lizards. The whole thing falls into a beautiful hierarchical pattern. Just like a family tree, it is a family tree. How would you explain that?
And where is the evidence?
Well, the evidence is in the DNA.
Excuse me. Where is the evidence of evolution from one species to another species, the macroevolution?
Well, it's in the DNA. It's in the DNA, it's in the geographical distribution
What you're
of
talking
species.
about are commonalities. But again, where's the material evidence of evolution from one species to another species?
Well, I'm sorry, but we can show you the evidence. All you need to do is read an elementary textbook of biology. It's all there.
Well, if evolution had occurred, then surely, whether it's going from birds to mammals or even beyond that, surely there'd be at least one
There's a
evidence.
massive amount of evidence. I'm sorry, but you people keep repeating that like a kind of mantra.
There have been many times in which evidence that was brought forward to bolster the idea of evolution turned out to be fraudulent.
What's an example of that?
So what we argue for is to teach the controversy. Don't censor out the facts that go against evolution, such as the famous pig's tooth, the tooth that was claimed to be an example of a prehistoric man and turned out to just be the tooth of a pig. There are numerous examples like that. So teach the controversy rather than try and censor out the information that shows that evolution is questionable.
Seriously, there isn't a controversy. There may be a controversy within evolution about certain details, but the fact of evolution is uncontroversial. I mean, whether you like it or not, we're cousins of chimpanzees, we're slightly more distant cousins of monkeys, etc. I mean, pig's teeth are really irrelevant. Of course you can dig up mistakes and even outright fraud. I mean, the Piltdown hoax was an outright fraud. But that was never used as evidence for evolution. It was just a particular case of somebody in the 1920s who fraudulently made up a fossil.
There's no evidence of evolution from one species to another. There's microevolution within a species, but not going from one species to another.
Oh, really?
And actually, the way you have framed this and your very closed-mindedness really is a very good example of the kind of censorship we see within the scientific community that won't even allow discussion about the controversy, that says that we can't even discuss any evidence that might show that evolution is questionable.
Right. Where did you study science?
Well, see, that's the point. Scientists are now claiming that they're the only ones that can speak on this issue. And yet when people who look at the evidence go to the Smithsonian Museum on Natural History, and when we look for where's the evidence to show evolution from one species to another, all we find are drawings, illustrations. There aren't the actual material evidence showing it. So,
I was watching an interesting video, and again, if any of this you don't want to talk about, push us along. But there was a video with this woman, Wendy Wright. I found it very interesting to watch because I saw you making all the good arguments. But a good argument will never make headway if the participants don't agree to certain basic rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And I just, at some point, I was wondering if it was fighting a just losing battle. And so did you find that satisfying, that conversation with her?
Of course not, no. But in a way, I mean, she was purporting to be playing by the same rules, because what she kept saying was, show me the evidence, show me the evidence.
Right, but you must have known that going in.
Well,
right?
But I mean, I kept saying, okay, let's go to the museum, I will show you the evidence.
Yes. But you see, but you're assuming that if you laid out a logical argument, she would be convinced.
No, well, okay.
But that is clearly...
No, clearly not. Well, in her case, I would not have aspired to change her mind. But this was a television program we were making. I was interviewing her for television. And so I didn't really have my eye on changing her mind. I had my eye on the 2 million viewers, people who were going to be watching the television program.
And what does the data show? That was the other question I had.